I'm Jodi Daly, and this is Let's Talk. And today, our show is devoted to breaking the curse of clutter with 3 professional organizers. So don't go away.
Want to make your mealtime a little more enjoyable? Check out the ready-to-heat, ready-to-serve meals and side dishes offered at your favorite supermarket. Whether it's chilled, or fresh, or frozen, you can taste the cuisines of the world. And if you buy the supermarket store brands, you can be sure of quality and freshness at reasonable prices. Give them a try and add something special to mealtime.
Does your house, office, even your car sometimes seems like it's closing in on you? You've got overflowing closets, stacks of paper, even socks missing their mate. Well, our guests have seen it all, and I know for a fact that they have helped rid the world of junk because they are all professional organizers. Sharon has an amazing blog where I learned a lot about day-to-day stuff, like what to do with those gift cards that one never uses. And we'll hear more about your experience working on a non-reality reality show. Linda has gently helped her clients minimize the mess for over 25 years and told me that there's actually a thing called chronically disorganized. And Felice lived in a 90 square foot micro studio apartment in New York City and says it was never a sacrifice, which I really can't believe, but we'll talk more about that later. Now, ladies, what I'd like to ask first is, when do you know it's time to call in the troops? When should we call in a personal organizer? Linda?
The best time to call in a professional organizer is when you're feeling overwhelmed.
I feel like that every day. I mean, could you just come over?
Absolutely, I'm there.
No, what do you mean by overwhelmed?
Well, generally, the call that I get is that's the first thing someone will say to me, that they're feeling overwhelmed because they have too much clutter, they can't figure out how they can get from where they are to where they want to go, and so they're stuck. They're stuck, and they need some help in moving past that.
And Sharon, what do you think?
I think the time to call a professional organizer is when your clutter is starting to interfere with your daily life.
Okay.
Either you are feeling it's affecting your self-esteem, you're feeling like a failure. You can't invite anyone over because you're embarrassed to see your place, and you're starting to feel isolated, or it's affecting your relationships with people.
And I have to say, truth be told, I am wearing black today because Felice actually forced me to get rid of my stuff. So I am mourning the end of my stuff. But you were just such a big help to me. How did you kind of figure out it was time for me to get organized?
I walked in your house and I knew it. You know, I think for a lot of people, it's overwhelming because you've got emotional attachments to everything. And for us as professional organizers, we don't. And we can also come in and see the things that need to go, and maybe that's taking up too much space. And it's really for you to find what kind of home you want to live in. Do you want more space? Do you want things more organized? So it's working the balance.
Now, speaking of organized, Linda, we were talking and you said there is actually something called chronically disorganized. Could you tell me what that is?
Sure. So there are certain people where they don't have just regular disorganization, but it's chronic, so it's persistent. So it probably means that they've had a past history of disorganization, future expectation of disorganization. They've tried to get organized.
Wait a minute, you know somebody that has a future expectation of disorganization?
Well, in other words,
wow.
Yeah, because it's so challenging for them, they can't imagine ever it being any other way. They've tried to get help themselves, and they just can't, and it affects them on a daily basis.
Now, there's no one size fits all in trying to.
There is no one size fits all.
So how do you delve in without getting totally frustrated?
Well, you delve in by really listening. I mean, it's a listening business. You know, I consider myself a facilitator of change. I'm there to help people, you know, go from where they are, where they're having trouble with, to the next point.
Yeah.
And you have to build a trust and listen and
now,
do
Sharon,
one thing at a time.
When we were talking, you told me that it really has to be a personality fit.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
So before I work with a client, I want to talk with them on the phone and just find out what they're trying to accomplish. I want to find somebody who is ready to make some changes and also has realistic expectations of what's going to happen with regard to the organizing process, because it's not like the reality shows. And I also want to make sure that they what they're trying to accomplish is a good fit for the expertise that I have. And if not, I'm happy to refer them to a colleague like Linda or any one of
Or
my...
Felice, if
Or
she's-
Felice,
yeah.
or any one of the other members of the National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals.
Now,
NAPO.
you just mentioned reality show. You actually did something. Tell us why it's not such a reality show.
Yeah, reality shows are meant to entertain. They don't, what you see on an organizing reality show is not at all what the real organizing process looks like. Organizing is not about making things neat and, and pretty and having the big reveal. It's not a dramatic event. It's actually a process of making a lot of small decisions.
Oh, I know.
And also, being willing to embrace change and new habits. As I tell my clients, organizing is not a one-time event. It's an ongoing, lifelong process.
And you even have clients that you've had periodically over several years, right?
Oh, many years, yeah.
You told me there's something called an exit strategy. What is that?
Yes, I once wrote, well, things come into your life.
See, she has a really awesome blog, so I was just like, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, things come into our lives all the time, but they don't have an exit strategy. I once wrote a blog post called Why Vegetables Are Better Than Clothes. Because if you buy vegetables and keep them in your refrigerator for too long, they will let you know unequivocally when it's time to throw them away. But your clothes won't do that. They just hang there in your closet, and they don't tell you that you haven't worn me in a long time, or I'm hopelessly out of style. So you need to develop some sort of rules to help you with that, since your clothes won't help you. And you need to tell yourself something like, okay, if I haven't worn it in a year, it's time to let it go.
Yeah. Okay. And Felice, you almost had to do that. Tell us a little bit about your 90 square foot micro apartment.
Well, I moved into that place. I thought I'd stay a year. I wanted to finish writing my first book, and I looked at it as a great opportunity because the rent was so low, and I could quit my job, and it allowed me to work on the book and write and not be stressed. But at the end of that year, my life had changed dramatically. I was, happier. My stress had gone down. That I decided to stay another year and another year. Now, when I first moved in, I put 77 boxes of stuff into storage, and every year that I agreed to stay, I went back to storage and got rid of stuff. And after 5 years, I had gotten rid of all 77 boxes
Wow.
because I hadn't needed it or wanted it.
Interesting.
And it worked out.
So we don't need as much stuff as we think we need.
No, we definitely
No,
don't.
of course not. Now, you had to be really organized. Did you have some sort of exit strategy for all the stuff you kept getting rid of?
Well, it's funny, we talk about exit strategy. The first thing came to mind was that death clutter that everybody's been talking about.
The
but
what?
The death clutter.
cleaning.
What is death clutter?
cleaning.
Yeah.
Death cleaning.
The Swedish Art of Death Cleaning. It's a book by Margareta Magnusson.
Does somebody have to die to?
It's
the
about a
process.
lifelong process that you should, instead of waiting until you die and then having your family come and clean out your stuff, you should be doing it throughout your life.
Oh, I wish my father had known that. When he died, it was 2003, and I found spices from the 70s that expired in the 70s that he was still using, I
Wow.
think. But yeah, that's a very interesting concept. So what is your strategy for organizing people?
Well, I think it's creating systems. When you come home with your groceries, where do you put the eggs? You always put them in the same spot. You're not going to put them in your sock drawer. So you know where the eggs go. And I feel like that's true for everything in your life, everything in your home. I look at it like a jigsaw puzzle, and every item has a place where it goes. And so for me, it's creating systems. So I couldn't bring all my stuff, but the stuff I did bring, I had gotten high shelves and got totes. And in one tote was toiletries, and in one was office supplies. So things have a home. So when you need another pen, you know where to go to find it. So if everything has a home, it makes unpacking easy. It makes coming home from a trip. It makes, finding things fast.
And Felice has this one philosophy when she came down to, well, Felice now lives in our building. She does not live in 90 square feet. And I got to tell you, her one-bedroom apartment is as organized as anything I've ever seen. You had this thing when you came down to my apartment one day, and you went, all right, 10 things out now. Tell us about it. It was scary. It was frightening when she yelled at me. Go ahead. What was it? What is it?
I think part of it, it's overwhelming. People don't know where to begin. And so I try to make easy lessons or steps for people to do. So you might do, if I say to you, can you get rid of 10 things? You go, well, okay. One is the lid to a pot, and one is a sock with a hole in it. I can get rid of that. And it adds up quick. So if I say to you, if you do that every day for a week, that's 70 things gone. And so it breaks it down so it's not as overwhelming to begin.
Well, believe me, when she said 10 things out, we found 10 things to go out. And when we come back, we're going to find out about how getting organized can both save and also make you money. So don't go away.
Supermarkets can get pretty confusing nowadays. So many aisles, so many products. How can you save time and money when you shop? Get into the habit of buying your store's store brands. You get the same quality as national brands and save at the cash register. No apps, no coupons, just money in your pocket. Give them a try and smile your way through the supermarket.
Welcome back. We're talking about getting and staying organized with Sharon, Linda, and Felice. So let me ask you this, ladies. How does staying organized save or make you money? I'm going to let you go first, Sharon.
Okay.
Sharon's like, I got this one.
I got this one. Yep. Well, one way is that you stop buying the same things over and over again. How many times have you gone out to buy batteries and then you came home and a week later you said, "Oh, I already have batteries. They were just in a different place from where I looked." So
Or a black sweater.
exactly.
17 black sweaters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Yep.
that's one way.
Okay. And you also talk about getting rid of things that you don't need anymore, like gift cards. So tell us about that.
Yeah, you can really re-gift anything that you haven't used. If
You've heard it here. Regifting
you can
is a good
re-gift.
thing.
Yes.
Good.
When somebody gives you a gift, you say thank you, and basically your obligation is done. It's not your obligation to then keep that gift for the rest of your natural life
Right.
if it's not something that you would really use. So feel free to pass that on to somebody else, but you can do the same thing with gift cards. Somebody gives them to you, you don't use them. They're just sitting there tying up money, so give them to somebody else. I encouraged all my clients before this past Christmas, dig up the gift cards you never used and pass them on. Saves you money, saves them money, and less clutter.
So Felice, how much money did you get me as a deduction?
$1,000.
Tell us about that.
Sure. So we went through a lot of Jodi's stuff, and a lot of it was video equipment she didn't need anymore. So I found a school in the neighborhood, the LaGuardia School, and they were happy to have it.
It was great too. And Linda, what about you?
So one of the benefits of getting organized is that you can actually find money you've lost. And I've had clients uncover, thousands of dollars that were hidden
You
somewhere.
mean cash?
Cash, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did find a lot of money in a sneaker one time. I had put a lot of money in this sneaker to hide it from somebody, and it would never have been found had I not organized stuff. Also, there's so many things now, like the Real and some of those places.
eBay.
eBay, where
Yeah.
you can just sell things. It's easy. It's great. So my big question is, how do you get people to commit and to stay organized?
Well,
Go ahead. Sharon's
yes,
like,
yeah,
Sharon's like, you want me to
I
do
got
this in one
So-
sentence?
So the best way is to create systems for them that work well with their daily routines.
Okay.
And the more closely you can pattern what you're teaching them to do to what, how their life works anyway and where they tend to put things down, the more likely they are to be able to maintain it and keep it going after the organizer goes home.
And let's talk about maintenance. Do you help people maintain?
I do. So, again, with the types of clients that I work with, maintenance is a key part. So you work to create systems that make sense for them, but then they need to be tweaked, and they usually need some help with the upkeep of that.
And
So-
Felice, but besides screaming at me, how are you going to keep me organized?
I didn't scream at you. I think the best way is to have a priority, is to have an image of how you want the space to look, whether it's a closet, whether it's a room, whether it's your garage. Have that final exit strategy or that picture of the image of what you want the space to look like. And instead of saying, I want to organize this room, say, I want to create a space where I can paint. So then you have a goal and you can remind yourself of that goal as you're working and when you get overwhelmed and when you get stuck.
A quick tip that you can share with our audience.
Besides 10 things a day?
Yeah, 10
don't
things a day, really?
Well, no, you could do one thing a day, but really don't beat yourself up. Know that you collected this stuff over a lifetime and give yourself permission to take the time and to go through it.
Okay. Linda?
I would say go small, which is that, again, people just get overwhelmed with too much, so just do one small thing, whether it's one drawer or 10 items or 5 items in that drawer. Just keep it small and build off one success off the next.
Right. And building on that, what I was thinking was to set a timer for 15 minutes and then organize one small space for 15 minutes until the timer goes off. If you do that every day, you'll get a lot more done than if you take an entire week off from work and think you're going to organize your whole house.
Perfect. Thank you, ladies. And my tip is have a cleaning person every couple of weeks. That makes me tidy up. And thank you, ladies, for joining us. This has been a lot of fun. And for those of you at home, thank you for joining us. For more information on what you've seen on today's show, visit Store Brands USA, the channel here on YouTube, or go to storebrandsusa.com for shopping information, recipe ideas, and more. I'm Jodi Daly, and I'll see you next time for another edition of Let's Talk.